Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, a bit. Okay, speak.
Hello.
Okay, that's better. I work with that. Just a little tiny bit. Right. Up to this. Okay. One little thing. Okay. Now it should be on. I hate streaming. Okay. Hi, LeBanana. Welcome to another stream. And we got
Hello.
reactions to the Mexican Grand Prix, and we're doing the Brazilian predictions as well right after those. So, to not really waste too much time, just get right into it. Your first thoughts on the Grand Prix? Sorry. Actually, how has your day been? I haven't asked that in a while.
It's been a pretty good day. It's like really stormy where I am, so it's been snowing someplace of South Africa, which is weird, but it's been pretty cool.
Okay.
How's your day been?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, pretty much the same weather as you, except the snow. Obviously, I'll live quite far away from the snowy areas. That could be snowy, but yep. Decent day. Nothing too much to say. Just really went by pretty quickly. Yep. Hope you're doing well, and yeah, we can just get into it. Okay. Back to the Grand Prix. What are your first thoughts or general thoughts on the Mexican Grand Prix?
So it was an interesting one. Another like Leclerc qualifying pole, then Verstappen winning, but like that's pretty expected at this point. It was another average Perez Grand Prix because well he went out straight away, and like he's just been having a tough season, especially the second half. No, Lando, he had a really great race going from P17 to P5, which I really enjoyed. Hamilton, he got his second, after being disqualified last time. He kind of deserves that. So I think it was a really good Grand Prix, except for Perez going out straight away. But yeah, it wasn't bad.
Did you watch the Grand Prix? Because I'm pretty sure it was during CGN.
I didn't watch it live, no.
So you had to like watch it as a report or whatever. I have to say. Basically,
Yeah.
you didn't watch it live.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live.
And you still enjoyed it, like overall.
Yeah, I still thought it was pretty good.
Okay, in my opinion, it was one of the most boring races this year. It was, oh my god, I literally went like 15 laps just on my phone. Nothing was happening like towards the end. It was just nothing really happened to the Grand Prix itself except for the Lando going back from the field and the red flag, which obviously was a bit of hope, hope for something exciting. But as the restart went on, Verstappen went away. Everyone behind him with terrible starts. So, yeah, obviously another dominant Max win. His 16th of the season, I think. He just broke the record for the most
Isn't it
wins.
17?
I think it's 16.
No,
Yeah.
I think it might be 16, yeah.
16 out of 19, so he basically broke his own record that he got last year. Crazy. Okay, I'm really happy you enjoyed the Grand Prix because I couldn't really. Actually, when I think about it, I probably should have played CGN instead of this. I think I would have enjoyed CGN much more. But yeah, I can't turn back time.
As a Lando fan, I thought this is a really nice Grand Prix.
I'm kind of a Lando fan as well. I have Lando merchandise like 3 meters behind me, but I don't think it was as good of a weekend for Norris as it was in the last 4 Grand Prix when he got a podium. But obviously, the race was really, really good, and we're gonna talk about it later. Okay, just we kind of swap by this so we can go towards the predictions themselves. Okay, pole position. I was actually Charles Leclerc, so no
Mhm.
points. That's actually out of nowhere. During the qualifying was one of the weirdest sessions. Like Q1, it was like Hamilton first or something, then Q2 Ferraris were nowhere, and Q3 just blocked out the front row. That was really, really strange.
Mm. I mean, it's nice to see that Verstappen didn't win anything. You know, it's been happening quite a bit the last few races.
Yeah, it's almost as like the gap to the Red Bull is getting closer every race, because like in the middle of the season or at the start of the season, we saw Red Bull not being
Just
as,
complete dominance.
yeah, we saw dominance in the races, but not as much in the qualifying. Obviously, we saw Charles getting pole in what was it? I forgot actually. It was Baku, I think, Azerbaijan. Then obviously we got Hamilton pole in Hungary. Basically, qualifying was not really strong for Red Bull during the
Yeah,
entire
but
season. They weren't as
then
dominant
they
there.
got serious.
Yeah, and now that the gap's closer, they're still winning the races by a small margin, and that means in qualifying they're even weaker than they've been before. So Max can actually be challenged, which is exciting from the qualifying standpoint of view, but obviously the races aren't as exciting. Uh,
Mm.
Moving on to P2, which was Carlos Sainz, my least impressive driver, obviously not by any stretch.
Didn't really happen.
Yeah, didn't happen. None of the Mercedes got in that we predicted. Carlos and Charles did have, like, both of them had really good weekends. Like in qualifying, second row out of nowhere for both of them. That was really good. And in the races, Ferrari didn't seem as quick. Obviously, we expected it to, the race pace for Ferraris not being good, but yeah, they got a podium. They got third and fourth, I think. Because yeah, Lando didn't catch Sainz in the end, and so
Yeah, it was third and fourth.
so pretty good weekend for Ferrari. Definitely not the least impressive team as I predicted them. They actually had one of their best weekends this year in terms of management. Like no mistakes, no strategy
And they had
blunders,
the
and whatever.
fastest pit stop too.
Yeah, as well. It was pretty good. Considering the only thing that basically the red flag screwed them over with the strategy, and they still came out being third and fourth. Which is pretty good.
Yeah, it was impressive from Ferrari.
P3 in qualifying goes to Max Verstappen, who obviously no one predicted him to get third. We didn't
Yeah,
really
why would he
understand
be
him.
so low down? That's embarrassing.
Yep. You two went with Norris. I went with Hamilton. Obviously, Norris out in Q1 and Hamilton down in P6, I think, or P8. I think it was 6 because P8 was Russell and P7 was Piastri.
Yeah, it was tough.
Okay, so completely off in the qualifying so far.
Yep.
When it comes to P4, you went with Ferraris, I went with Norris. Obviously, Ferraris front row, Norris out in Q1, no points.
Yeah, and then Q5, same thing.
In reality, P4, Daniel Ricciardo in the AlphaTauri. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I was so excited during this session.
it was insane.
Like, considering just what are the circumstances, like him being out of the sport for half an year, coming in, doing 2 races, breaking his hand, coming into his first full weekend, because we can really count Coda as he had 1 practice session after being out of the car for like 5 races. Came out into the car, straight up in practice, top 10 in every single session. In qualifying, Q1 was like 4th or 5th. Q2, another really, really strong performance, and Q3 randomly in P4, 2/10 of pole position, like
Mm.
less than a tenth of Max Verstappen in Red Bull. I'm actually like, how did they do that?
Yeah, I have no idea, but one thing's for sure is AlphaTauri's car, like it's really catching up to the rest considering no one's really upgrading their car anymore. So and Sonoda had a great race too until like he
Yep,
screwed it up. He was doing great.
yep,
So I could definitely see AlphaTauri getting a lot more points until the end of the season.
yep. I definitely agree. They seem to be the fifth fastest team right now, behind top four teams, obviously.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
fifth, I'd
yeah,
say what Mercedes, McLaren,
Ferrari and Red Bull ahead of
Red
them.
Bull, and Ferrari. Yeah, yeah, I guess fifth.
Obviously, Aston is like gone.
Dropped hard. Yeah,
Both outing
Aston's like
Q1.
bottom two at this point.
Yeah. And we have Haas, who obviously are the slowest car for the entire
Mm.
season, basically. Williams, who, I mean, Albon was like
Williams
second.
aren't bad.
Albon was like second in some practice session. Everyone thought it was like Williams fighting
Oh
for pole
yeah,
position, and then
everyone thought he might get podium, but
yeah, Albon just barely went to the Q3 and got his lap time deleted, so started like P14 or P13. Made it to the point though. P9 for Albon, pretty good performance. I think he had the potential to be even higher. I think that Williams had relatively good pace. It's just, yeah, the quality was not really good. P13, you know. I guess when you say Williams, you don't expect like amazing performances, but we know the Williams car is pretty strong this season. They scored points in like half of the races, which is basically on Alpine's level at this point. That Alpine has two drivers in the points, and Williams only has one, so that doesn't make a difference in this case. Yep. And the Alfa
yeah,
Romeos, who got both of them in
they just.
Q3.
Mm,
Yeah,
it was
you can
great to
say.
see. Like Alpha doesn't really. Well, usually they don't do well, but I guess they've upped it. Maybe it's like just going to be this track, but I hope to see it in the rest of the race of the season. Because like this end of season is getting kind of enjoyable instead of just the usual Red Bull first, second every race. We're actually seeing battles for pole. We're seeing other teams getting points, and I like to see it.
Yep, we are seeing a lot of changes in the pecking order. Like Aston Martin, second fastest car, now to the probably the second weakest car at this point. Like the only
Yeah,
the only weaker car than them that I can think of realistically is
is
like Haas.
Haas.
Yeah, Haas. Like even the Alphas had some pace. Like they got in the Q3, they definitely had the pace. Obviously, they both screw up the starts, got like lost like 3 positions at the start each, and then got screwed up by the red flag as well. So yeah, no points for Alfa Romeo. And
It's been really impressive how the teams have upgraded across the seasons to make Aston look slow.
yeah, most notable McLaren being the basically, I think they were the last in the constructors after Bahrain because they got like last in DNF, and then now thinking they, I mean,
They're
obviously
fifth, right? No,
there is a really big stretch, but they could even get second.
top.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess so. They could, but
uh,
Mercedes looks like they've upgraded their car as
yeah,
well too. Like,
yeah, Mercedes would need to get like no points in order for that to happen. But
yeah,
Ferraris Ferrari may be like achievable for McLaren. They're not that far ahead. I think it's like 50 points between McLaren and Ferrari. Maybe more, but still not that far away.
mm. I mean, I could. I don't think they are gonna overtake Ferrari, but I'd love to see it because the Ferrari seem to have just as good of a pace as the McLarens. And the drivers are similar. Of course, Piastri is like pretty inconsistent for now, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. What I want to point out that imagine McLaren starting the season with the car in Austria. Like they would I would say
They
Lando could
would.
have been very well in P3 or even P2 now, considering just
Yeah, I'd say they would be in P2 probably.
yeah, it's very likely that it could happen. Obviously, we don't know how much PS3 do, considering he would be put in the second fastest car in his first races. We saw Norris being quite ahead in the first half of the season. Then PS3, as the car got better, PS3 got closer to Norris, but still I think there's still a visible gap between the two drivers, and PS3 still has some work to do to get them land as
Yeah,
well.
I feel like Piastri still has to get used to this, but I think he has a lot more potential than Lando, of course, because like Lando, he's been doing it for quite a bit now. He's done over 100
I
races,
think it's
and
his fifth season in Formula One.
and Piastri, like by his fifth season, we could see him like winning the championship. So
Yeah, definitely could happen. Obviously, it depends on what car McLaren build, but yeah, I'm excited for
yeah,
PS3 going into the future. Because I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be my favorite driver after Hulkenberg retires eventually. Because obviously Hulkenberg is like 36 years old now, basically 2 or 3 years younger than Hamilton, and yeah, I don't really think he's going to go for driving Formula One in his 40s, because like Alonso and Hamilton, so obviously those are world champions. They don't really have they don't have children and stuff. Like Hulkenberg has a wife and kids and stuff. Obviously, I think he loves Formula One, but I don't think he's gonna stay in Formula One for too much longer. I give him like 2, maybe 3 years.
yeah, and like he doesn't even have one of the best cars, so it's not like he's going to win unless he's maybe put on Red Bull or something and has to rival for stopping.
Yeah, that's as much as I would love to see it. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I think
Yeah,
if Red Bull choose to replace Perez, I think it's gonna be Ricardo at this point, unless the rumors with Alonso.
Alonso.
Yeah,
I'd love to see Alonso.
yeah, I think that rumor is just a rumor, in my opinion. I don't think Alonso is
Same.
going to Red Bull, but I'm pretty sure it could. Like, what could happen is Aston selling themselves, Stroll selling Aston, and Alonso looking for a seat elsewhere. But I, I just don't feel like Red Bull would bring Alonso next to Max. Like having,
I would love to see it though,
yeah,
because like
I think
either of them could win the championship then.
yeah, I think the entire world would love to see it. But imagine, imagine what Mercedes have, but imagine it like a dominant car. But basically, Rosberg versus Hamilton V2. Like that's. I think
Mm.
Red Bull would have a tough time managing two number one drivers, because obviously it's really easy when Perez is just not there most of the time. But we saw in the start of the season where Perez was winning races. Like whenever Max is in the position where his teammate is up there as well, things get spicy a bit. So it can happen. But I just don't feel like Alonso's gonna get to Red Bull. Just I don't see it happening. Another
Yeah,
rumor is Sainz leaving Ferrari, which is I think maybe
I
next
don't
year,
think that's
but
happening.
I think it's staying for another season.
Yeah,
Um, Next up is Perez retiring. Obviously, the rumor is
that's
there.
not happening.
Now that rumor is there for quite some time. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago that it was like first mentioned. But yeah, it was supposed to be this race that Perez was announcing his retirement, and nothing happened. Even though Perez had basically the worst imaginable ending to the race, with him
Yeah,
DNFing on lap one, and it still didn't still supported by the team. Like supported in like on the outside. I don't even know what's gonna happen like behind the scenes, but it looks like Red Bull is still keeping Checo for next year.
yeah, I think they are gonna keep him. Like when he's not screwing up, he's still a great driver and can get podiums. So
Yeah. I think it's all in
long
his
as
head at
he,
this point. It's just the mental aspect of him not really being able to repair itself. Just like we've seen in Ricardo and McLaren and stuff. Just the, the mental state of drivers are very important as well.
yeah, it is.
Okay, I guess we can move on to predictions. P5 was in reality was Perez, and Ajax went with Perez. So good job, Ajax. You got a point with Perez.
If only if Perez stayed like that.
Yeah, he went with P3 for Perez, which obviously could happen if he didn't decide to, well, do Hamilton in
Yeah,
turn one.
I mean, I think Perez could have gotten podium if he just didn't do that at the start.
Yeah,
He was too eager to get to the lead.
yeah, that was. On one hand, I'm really like sad for him, but on the other hand, I'm like, come on, like if you keep at this, we might get a good driver next to Max next season. So maybe you should keep doing this.
Just carry on.
I,
I'm
I,
surprised the Ferrari was fine after Perez just went into it. Like there was pretty much nothing wrong.
I was like, I liked Perez. I never disliked him, but when it comes to excitement for the sport, like this season has been especially boring. The races, or as much as I like Checo, I don't think he should be in next season. I don't feel like it's gonna
Mm,
change. I think next season is gonna be pretty much the same as this one, maybe even worse. And yeah, like imagine taking the risk, keeping Checo for next year, in the first three races, uh, Verstappen gets three podiums, imagine, and Perez gets no points because
yeah,
the gap is remains the same and the other teams caught up. So
and Red Bull won't win. Then they won't
yeah,
win the constructors'
yeah,
championship. There's no
and
way.
in this scenario, they decided to switch Checo and whoever is doing well at AlphaTauri. I assume it will be Ricardo at this point. They put in Ricardo. Ricardo is gonna perform like not beat Max, but he's gonna be close. Um, Imagine being Red Bull, who just lost so many points by keeping Perez instead of going for Ricardo straight away.
Yeah.
Like,
The, I mean, he still has a contract for next season, so I think they are gonna keep him at
I
least for next season.
just feel like it's such a big risk from Red Bull to keep Perez. Just if they want another constructors, I don't think Max is gonna do what he did this season and basically got double the amount of points of P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Like the gap from Max to Perez is bigger than from Perez to De Vries, who got no points.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, moving on then to the race itself, because from quali there's not really much to say else, I think,
Yeah.
apart
Oh,
from Lando in Q1.
we all got the first two. We can just highlight that straight away.
Yeah, apart from Lando out in Q1 and obviously the like 10 drivers being investigated by the FIA after Q1, and none of them got even reprimanded. Not even penalty, but not even a reprimand. Basically nothing. Like it was just random messages that meant like basically meant nothing. Yeah. I think that's about it for quality. It was a strange session, but yeah. We got to the race because we talked about it quite a bit already. Max won it ahead of Lewis, so we all get points here.
Yep.
Got them straight away. P3 in reality was Charles Leclerc. None of us got him in our podium. I went with Russell, you went with Perez, and actually you went with Norris, and
I
AJ
went
with
Norris.
Perez. I think all three of these drivers could have been on the podium if something went better for them. Obviously, Russell. I think the Mercedes had the pace to be in P3. Just Russell didn't seem to be on pace. Like Hamilton was showing some insane pace over Russell, and it's happening for 2 races in a row, basically.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think Russell will get back to getting top fives. I hope so at least, because he is definitely skilled enough to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Russell needs to pick up the pace because it's not already good. Like, I know Lewis Hamilton, like being Lewis' teammate is everything but easy, but you sh- Russell showed he can match Hamilton and even beat him at times. And now he's just looking like Russell would be like. I'm not saying it's the gap as big as in the Red Bull, for example, but the gaps is significant enough to be noticed. Like it's not just one driver having off a weekend. Like Russell is now significantly behind Hamilton, and it's
Yeah,
just
it
not
is
looking good.
quite a large gap. And Hamilton looks like he's gonna take P2 too. So like,
Yep. Like if your teammate's fighting for P2 in the championship and you're in P8, I think that's not a good look.
yeah.
Okay. P4 was Carlos Sainz, and you went with Piastri. We went with Norris. Obviously, Norris with P5, so almost. Maybe if Norris wouldn't screw up this restart after the red flag, maybe he could have gotten P4, but unfortunately, none of us get the point here, as well as
Yeah.
P5 as well, because P5 in reality was Lando's points.
Mm. So yeah, I mean, I was close with Science at least.
Yeah, I actually was close with Russell as well. I was nowhere with Alonso, who, well, before his DNF was like last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that just. What happened to Aston? Oh my god, I
Mm.
cannot gather my head around it. Just how do you go from the second fastest car to the second weakest car? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's insane. Aston Martin, they could have had this season pretty good, even though Stroll wasn't doing the best. Still, Alonso is really, like, really strong. So I don't know what went wrong.
Ah, yep. We talked about Aston quite a bit in the last few races. I think it's very much still the same thing, even though in this race they weren't even good in the race. They were slow, like generally slow over the entire weekend. Like encoded, they at least would have gotten double points, but here they weren't even close to points.
Yeah, they both DNF'd, right?
Yep. Stroll due to the
Yeah,
crash with
it's
Bottas, and Alonso due to, well, I don't even know if there was a reasoning behind it. He just retired the car and Alonso driving into the pits. That's about it. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it was pretty sad for Aston.
Yeah. Other things notable from the race, obviously Lando getting P5 from starting second last on the grid. Pretty impressive. Like showed some insane pace in the McLaren, especially the overtakes
Yeah,
were really
the
really good.
overtakes were insane.
Like definitely Lando was one of the best drivers on the race day. Unfortunately, he screwed up the quali, which obviously means, um, well, when it comes to Norris, I think his race was really really good, but I don't think it makes up for the quali because when we saw Norris having a clean quali, like P2, what was it in Kota, then he led half of the race and got a podium. Here he started P18 and got a P5. So, in my reasoning, I think Norris had a better weekend in Kota than here. Um, yeah, I just
Yeah, I think this was his best race.
yeah, I felt like best race, but over the entire weekend, I think he was more impressive in Kota, and therefore, I think when it comes to the most impressive driver, I just cannot give it to Norris, even even if Ricardo wouldn't be there. Like imagine it would be like Ricardo DNF or whatever. I would still give it to Lewis, just because like he got to the Q3. Obviously, Mercedes wasn't quick enough in the Q3. He got P6, but still made it to P2 and got like the fastest lap like on the like already lap old tires as well, like mediums as well. It was out of nowhere. Like no one expected Lewis to just get past the lap on the last lap. So
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
I think Lewis had a better weekend than Norris as well as Ricardo, and Ricardo would be my most impressive driver. If you have any objections, if you have any reasoning why Ricardo shouldn't be the most impressive driver, I really want to hear it because I just can't understand what AJ was saying.
I mean, I agree Ricardo is most impressive this race, but I think he's like sharing that spot with Lando because P17 to P5 is
P18,
insane.
but still,
What?
P,
Oh
well,
yeah.
he profited from what was it? Actually, I forgot. Someone was starting from the pit lane, and one Tsunoda was starting from the back because of the engine penalty. So he gained 2 positions already at the start. Uh, he pitted early for the hards, then obviously red flag put him in top 10, which is very good for him, but he screwed up the start, so he had to overtake even more cars.
Mm.
Him making a mistake in quality and mistakes in the race as well. Like that wasn't a clean weekend for Lando, even though he got an insane drive on Sunday. Still wasn't perfect. And I can name at least 3 drivers who I would say had a better weekend than Lando.
Yeah, I guess so.
Obviously, talking about Hamilton, Ricardo, and Max. Obviously, Max just didn't seem
And
to
I
be
wouldn't.
bothered by anyone during the race. Like he even had a bet with his engineer to be, not engineer, but his friends to be P1 by turn 1 or something like that. It's just he never really seemed in doubt that he would not be P1 coming to the end of the race.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say Verstappen can be considered most impressive just because it's expected at this point for him to get first, no matter how like large the gap is.
Yeah, I think Lando was better in the race itself, like from the impressive point of view, but still, Max even had a like he didn't get pole position, but still P3, like it was like 2 tenths behind. Well, obviously it was 1 tenth because Ricardo was 2 tenths. So I mean, it was just a Ferrari being strong. I don't even think Max had the bad quality. Obviously Perez was like 2 tenths behind Max as well, but that was more on Perez having a good lap. So
Yeah, it was.
so yeah, I'm not giving this point away. Like AlphaTauri driver being P4 in quali and P7 in race would have been P5 if not for the red flag. I don't know how you're not giving that. Like, I don't know how any person would not give that the most impressive driver. I guess
Yeah.
people didn't expect Ricciardo to even be in the top 10. Like most of the people didn't expect Ricciardo to be in the top 10 after Kota, and he just went in and get P4 in the quali. It was just if I don't know how that wouldn't get a point. This is one of my most deserved points of the season, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say Ricardo, you definitely get point for that.
And when it comes to Tsunoda, if he would finish behind Ricardo, like 1 position behind, because obviously he could have overtaken Piastri, probably wouldn't go overtaken by Lando, but obviously Ricardo didn't get Russell, so what I'm assuming would happen is that Tsunoda would finish in P7 behind Ricardo, which would be again an insane drive from P19 as well as Lando. And in that sense, I would give it to Tsunoda as well. Like I would give both Ricardo and Tsunoda the most impressive driver because I would think that just both of them were really really impressive. Because I think in quali, if Tsunoda would start in Q3, like would get into Q3 and would not get an engine penalty, I think he would be up there with Ricardo. We can't really say if he would beat him, but I think he would be up there
Yeah, I
enough.
agree. Sonoda still had a great weekend, but
So
I don't think he was as impressive as Ricardo.
obviously, imagine he wouldn't crash into PS3 and got P7. I think that would be deserving of a point as well for you, and we would tie on points in this question. But since
Yeah.
Tsunoda balled the, well, I mean, Perez went out in this exact same way, just turning too early on the car on the inside. Just straight up mistake from Tsunoda. So, yeah,
Hmm.
unfortunate. He really had the pace and could have gotten really, really good points for AlphaTauri to, yeah, be closer to Williams because 3 races to go, they look like the fifth fastest car, having if they get even better weekends than this one, they could perhaps even beat Williams in the final constructor standings.
Yeah, I think it's possible, definitely.
So yeah, unfortunate weekend for AlphaTauri. I think they could have gotten more points than they did. Obviously, good weekend for them. Really good weekend. It could have been better. So
Hmm.
when it comes to the least impressive driver, I think Sainz, no way. Sainz was pretty good. Ocon got a point in Alpine, which looked like really, really slow. I think Alpine was the third slowest car next to Aston and Haas. So, and
Hmm.
Russell is a decent pick, like P8 and quali and P6 in the race, but still, I can see other drivers being less impressive. Most notable
Yeah.
Perez, like, oh my god,
Perez,
how
I
did he
think,
crash in your
takes
home
least
Grand Prix?
impressive.
What?
I think Perez takes least impressive for
Yeah,
sure.
okay. I didn't hear what you said at first. Yeah, Perez crashing out on turn one in his home Grand Prix. Like, oh my god, this
It's
keeps getting
tragic.
worse. Yeah, this keeps getting worse for Perez. At this point, it's just every Grand Prix we just think we cannot get it worse, right?
Yeah, there's no way he gets below 20th of the DNF, right?
Oh my god, he just went into turn one, takes himself out, punctures his side pod, cannot continue, retires, well, that's his go home Grand Prix. Like, yeah, he
Yeah.
finally was close to Max. He was like 2 positions behind him at the start. Got a really great start. Could have been P1 if he would have actually overtaken them at the turn one and not just drive into them, especially Charles. So, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Perez, awful, awful weekend.
Hmm. And then most impressive team, we all put Mercedes.
Um,
I think Ferrari takes it.
I would say AlphaTauri would take it.
Oh yeah, good point.
Because
Alpha also had
I
a
mean,
great time.
being in contention for pole position in an AlphaTauri, like having such a strong
Yeah.
car that it could have gone P6 and P7 on pace. Wow, the car starting from the back as well. I think AlphaTauri takes this one pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Where's the Mercedes?
They
They
didn't
had
have a
better
bad
weekends this year.
weekend. Yeah.
Okay, least
And
impressive
then
team. I think you get this point straight away. I think there's no
yeah,
talking about. Who was the least
Aston
impressive
was in
team?
the
Like,
ground.
oh my god. Both out in Q1, slowest in the race, and
Both
both
DNF.
DNF. Like, oh, it cannot
That's
get
like
worse
one of
for
the
Aston.
worst races out of any team this season.
Yeah, quite possibly one of the worst races of any team this season. You're right. That was awful. Okay, when it comes to the actual prediction, I actually checked mine before this one, so I get a point for Hulkenberg racing ahead of Magnussen in every single session. He was ahead in practice 2, practice 3, Q1, and obviously Q2 because Magnussen didn't get in, and the race itself because Magnussen
Yeah.
crashed. So, yep, that's a point for me. And 2 safety cars, I think it was only one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was only one safety car before the red flag.
Yeah, it was only one.
So no points for Ajax, and I don't know. Alonso spun twice during the weekend. I don't know if you saw the spin in the practice, but in quali he spun and didn't crash with anyone. It was just a spin.
Yeah. If it wasn't contact, it's not really a crash.
So unless you've seen Alonso crash with a wall or something in the practice where he spun, because I know he spun, but I just don't know if I didn't see the footage. I didn't know if he had any contact with anything. But if he did, I would give it a point. But I'm assuming you don't know either, so I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, I don't think he did crash though. No one talked about it.
So I guess we give you the point here. If you find out if he crashed in practice, then I'm gonna give you the point afterwards. So you can check it out
Yeah.
if you want, but right now we're not
Hmm.
giving you the point for obvious reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
Assigning more points when it comes to this one. So I take the lead in this with 4 points, and you both take 3. Not our best weekends, but we were really close to each other.
Yeah, it was close between us for once, unlike last Grand Prix where you got 7.
Yeah, that was insane. I really lucky with qualifying. This time, I don't know if you watched the stream back, but when we were doing the predictions with AJX, I said that I wasn't confident in my predictions for qualifying because I did them to get points over him. Basically, I tried to get everyone else in the spots when it comes to the qualifying. And basically, it didn't go with vibes as I would normally go with as a USA. So yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. I think this sums it up. Basically, what I'm gonna do now is close the stream and make a new one titled with the predictions for Brazil, and we can return to that one. If you want to go for a drink or to the bathroom, you can go now. We're gonna return to the stream in like 4 minutes. Okay.
Okay, I'll be back
Okay.
soon.
Thanks for everyone who watched the stream, and obviously the next one is gonna be after this one. So, okay.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Um, um, and stream.